Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom, Laura Ann, coming in, viewing from Kannapolis, North Carolina. I'm relieved to know I'm not the only person outside of Reno right now. I can wish all of you a Shabbat shalom from Dunkirk, New York. I think I haven't checked every single possible source, but I'm fairly optimistic that this is the first Temple Sinai Reno Kabbalat Shabbat to ever be hosted from Dunkirk, New York. As some of you know, when I'm not at Temple Sinai and when I'm not when I'm not teaching in our school or serving on committees, I sometimes play and teach oboe. My name's Aaron Hill. I'm a member of the community, and I'm here to do a recital at SUNY Fredonia this weekend. And I'm here on East Coast time, hosting the Shabbat service so that we can get our rabbis, Sarah and Benjamin Zober, a much-needed break, a well-deserved break. My wife, Laura Smith, hi Bear, is in Reno right now, running our technology, making sure our comments and banners show up. And Mike Stombaugh, our office administrator, coordinated this virtual Siddur that you can follow the link to on the ticker banner on the bottom so that you can follow along with us. Of course, any readings we can all do together. They don't necessarily need to be responsive or just me or just you. A lot of them are in English for those of you who don't attend regularly. Anything we do in Hebrew, if you want to sing la la right along with, go right ahead. Anything that brings the Ruach, the spirit, to our Shabbat celebration. We'll start in our virtual Siddur or in Mishkan Tefillah, which I packed in my suitcase, with the first half of page 8. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created, and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and bring that vision to life. Now, some of you in your own homes may have candles and candlesticks set up. I envy you. I did not bring any in my suitcase. But I invite all of you to light your candles as we sing together the candle blessings for Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And on the middle of page 10, we start to enter our time together with song, about how lovely today is. And lovely indeed. The leaf colors here and there are really striking. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And I'm quite accustomed to doing the Lachadodi from my house and looking at the entrance of my own house. As many of you know, with the verses that we sing of Lachadodi, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9, when we get to the Bo'iva Shalom verse, we face the entrance. And here I'm facing the entrance of my room at the Clarion Inn in Dunkirk. And the Lachadodi, the beginning of it, can be found on page 20. And thanks to everyone for understanding that in a hotel room at 10:30 at night, I'm singing on the modest side, but there's something also nice about that. So together. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet ve'letila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat v'hu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, Nerosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maase b'machshavat chila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, Kiva orech kumiori, Uri, shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alahayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Ori v'shalom ha'ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. And Shabbat Shalom to so many of you. I see from the comments stream that we are an international group tonight. Welcome to all. As we continue with the Chatzi Kaddish, the top of page 26 together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Ve'alma divrach Yirutei ve'amlich Malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Bagala bagala uvizman kariv v'imeru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach Ve'ala Mulal Mehamaya Yitbarach V'ishtabach V'itparar V'itmomam V'itnaseh V'ithada V'ithale V'ithalal Shmei Dekudesha Brichu Leila Min Kol Birchata B'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata dahamiran be'alma v'imeru. Amen. And as our official welcome, we get to sing the Baruch Hu together. With no Torah present, I do my best to face in the general eastern direction as I imagine it to be in a new place. Standing if we can. Yai da dai 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 dai. Yai da dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Yai da dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai da dai 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 dai. Baruch het Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Ve'olam va'ed. Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Le'olam va'ed. And we can be seated. I feel somewhat confident that was east from here from the maps that I saw. Together, in the middle of page 31, the reading in English. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. On page 32, we sing together the Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Israel, Amcha Havta, Amcha Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. V'ahavata al tasir, mimenu leolamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael. On page 34 and 35 together, the Shema, and if we choose to do so, with our hands covering our eyes, we can peek if we want. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. On the top of page 36, the Ve'ahavta, which we were just going over with our Sinai school kids, so these words are fresh on my mind. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. And in English, on the top of page 39, Standing on the Parted Shores. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands, marching together. And we do so joyfully, remembering our journey across the Red Sea at the top of page 40 with the Mi Chamocha. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai, yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai, ya la la lai la lai la 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 lai. Lai la lai lai ya la 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malechutecha uvanecha, hokei hayam lifnei Moshe. Zelianu ve'amhu, Zelianu ve'amehu, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Ve'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, Ugalo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. In the middle of page 43, together in the English. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long, evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Yerushalayim and yours. Baruch atah Adonai hapohe sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. On the top of page 44, we ring in Shabbat with our Veshamru. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. And to bring in our standing tefillah, our prayer of the Amidah, those of us who can stand do so on page 46. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu b'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, וחיי הכל אתה רב להושיח. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו בשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. And together, we can take a moment for silent prayer, either reading in the Hebrew or the English through page 62, or thinking thoughts on your own for a moment. Together we can be seated. Our prayer for peace will be the Shalom Rav, found on page 60. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Baruch Atah Adonai Hamvarech et Amo Yisrael Bashalom, Yisrael Bashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Moving on to our remote version of a Torah service. If I didn't bring candles with me, I certainly didn't bring an Ark and a Torah. But we do have readings from Torah and words of Torah. I have a Dvar Torah for today. And in anticipation of that, together on the top of page 86, we can sing together our blessing for study. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And this week's reading was difficult to choose because we're still in the part of Torah where every parsha has so many memorable moments. But for today, I chose Genesis 18, verses 20 to 33, which is available in your virtual Siddur if you're reading along with us. And I'll read it in English because I'll be discussing the content momentarily. The Eternal One then said, "The outcry in Sodom and Gomorrah, how great it is, and their crime, how grave it is. Let me go down and determine whether they are wreaking havoc in equal measure to the shrieking that is coming to me. If not, I will know." The men now turned away and went towards Sodom, while Abraham remained standing before the Eternal. Abraham then came forward and said, "Will you indeed sweep away the innocent along with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 innocent in the city. Will you indeed sweep away the place and not spare it for the sake of the 50 innocent who are in its midst? Far be it from you to do such a thing, killing innocent and wicked alike, so that the innocent and the wicked suffer the same fate. Far be it from you. Must not the judge of all the earth do justly?" The Eternal One said, "If I find 50 innocent people in Sodom, I will pardon the whole place for their sake." Again, Abraham spoke. "Look now, let me undertake to speak up to my Lord, though I am but dust and ashes. What if the 50 innocent are 5 short? Will you destroy the whole city because of 5? God answered, "If I find 45 there, I will not destroy it." Once more Abraham spoke up. "What if 40 are there?" And God answered, "For the sake of the 40, I will not do it." Then he said, "Do not be angry, my Lord, and let me speak. What if 30 are found there? If I find 30 there," said God, "I will not do it." And Abraham said, "Look now, let me undertake to speak up before my Lord. What if 20 are found there?" And God said, "For the sake of the 20, I will not destroy it." Then Abraham said, "Let not my Lord be angry, and let me speak up one last time. What if 10 are found there?" And God said, "For the sake of the 10, I will not destroy it." Then, done speaking to Abraham, the Eternal departed, and Abraham returned to his place. Spoiler alert, that many righteous people were not found, and God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and there are many things that we draw from these outcomes. But uh, more importantly and immediately, with the words of Torah on our minds and in our hearts, we think of the people in our community who could use some healing right now. Now is one of those times in our virtual format where if you type names into the comments of people who could use some extra strength right now from all of us, now would be a good time, and Laura will share those in the banner. I also have some names of people known in our community that we're especially thinking of right now. Among them, Wendy Alderman, Lucille Alexander, Joan Brickman, Stanley Brody, Neil Calder, Megan Carney Cranmer, Laura Cohen, Tali Engel, Stephen Gould, Al Grossman, Marlene Harris, Harvey Higdon, Laura Jawad, Richard Lopez, Harav Miriam Bat Shifrava Pinchas, Harav Miriam Yalchaya Bat Sarah, Lori Pattison, Shirley Rutkovitz, Sarah Bat Chava, Marianne Schenker, Jessica Wadatz, Usher Zalich, Tim Ober, Doug Kumler, everyone affected by the coronavirus, and everybody who's all of the names that you're sharing right now. And towards that aim, we sing together the Misha Berach in the middle of page 253. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. As an educator, I love working with passionate students who ask a lot of questions. My work would be very boring for me if all my students just dutifully completed the assignments and never asked me why we were doing something or how else we might approach a problem. A few weeks ago, the rabbis offered me the opportunity to teach the 6th and 7th grade section at Sinai School, with a curriculum mostly focused on Holocaust education. As a pre-tenure academic with a 2-year-old, my schedule was already quite full, but I was promised that this was an extraordinarily curious group of middle schoolers, so I accepted the offer. Their knack for asking thoughtful questions and engaging well with each other's ideas is a credit to all these children's families and to their own personalities, but I also think that their Jewishness has a role in their ability to have meaningful, substantive discussions with a grown-up many of them barely know. I appreciate that they treat my presentations with healthy skepticism, and in return, they're willing to let me challenge their previously held ideas about concepts like the oversimplified dichotomy between pure good and pure evil. Perhaps the pressure of their impending bar and bat mitzvah ceremonies has a role in motivating them to be ready to confidently address their community. But I think a lot of our culture's ability to talk candidly with authority figures goes back to our origin story, as detailed in this week's Parsha, some of which we read tonight. God offers Abraham a chance to consult and negotiate for what it would take to spare Sodom and Gomorrah from destruction. As Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, who left us only months ago, Alav Hashalom, asks and answers so powerfully, why did God call on Abraham to challenge him? Was there anything Abraham knew that God didn't know? That idea is absurd. The answer is surely this: Abraham was to become the role model and initiator of a new faith, one that would not defend the human status quo, but challenge it. Abraham had to have the courage to challenge God if his descendants were to challenge human rulers, as Moses and the prophets did. Jews do not accept the world as it is. They challenge it in the name of the world that ought to be. This is a critical turning point in human history. The birth of the world's first religion of protest, the emergence of the faith that challenges the world instead of accepting it. Abraham was not a conventional leader. He did not rule a nation. There was as yet no nation for him to lead. But he was the role model of leadership as Judaism understands it. He took responsibility. He acted. He didn't wait for others to act. Of Noah, of recent Parshiot, the Torah says he walked with God, Genesis chapter 6. But to Abraham, God says, walk before me in Genesis chapter 17, meaning be a leader, walk ahead, take personal responsibility, take moral responsibility, take collective responsibility. That was all Jonathan Sachs. I could in no way come up with anything nearly that articulate. This stands in stark contrast, though, to the upcoming story of the Akedah, the sacrifice of Isaac, where Abraham comes dangerously close to sacrificing his son Isaac, seemingly as an act of obedience to God, without an ounce of the bargaining that he displayed trying to prevent the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. While in one instance, Abraham tries to save Sodom and Gomorrah through persistent arguments, and he's eventually unsuccessful, his decision to follow an order to sacrifice Isaac without interrogating it is interrupted by an angel's intervention, preventing him from carrying out the deadly act. While neither outcome gives us a clear-cut moral lesson as to when and to what degree we should follow or question orders from any kind of authority, The existence of such a broad spectrum between questioning God and following God from the very start of our tradition sets the tone for thousands of years of engaging with a tension between those two approaches. I make sure to tell the students in my Sinai School class as often as possible that whatever their beliefs and practices are, and whatever affiliation they do or don't have with the Jewish community once they're adults, every single one of us has a moral responsibility to be a Holocaust educator wherever we go, so that we can prevent future atrocities and injustices from happening not only to us, but to any marginalized people group. Getting to know a group of 11 and 12-year-olds who have been empowered to feel so comfortable asking difficult questions gives me optimism for the impact they'll have wherever they go. This quality will hopefully shield them against the allures of propaganda and tribalism that have become such a powerfully destructive force again. In such a similar way to the propaganda and tribalism that were among primary forces that they're now coming to understand made the Shoah possible in the first place. When I think of the role that the Jewish people have in the world, I always go back to the notion that Abraham had the courage to say that God was not in a statue, in a time and place when that was a dangerous thing to declare. We need to continue to be that people, and thanks to the way we give our children opportunities to question us and lead us, I'm confident that we'll do exactly that. Shabbat Shalom. As we reach our concluding portion of our service, we can stand again on the bottom of page 282 for our Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishmechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in English, on the top of page 285, let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. 287. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad. We think now of people in our lives who are no longer with us, either who've passed away recently, who've passed away over the course of the last 30 days, the last year, or whose anniversaries of their passing that we currently honor in their yahrzeit. Now would be a good time to enter names of people you're thinking of. We'll honor them with you. In addition to the names have been provided in our own community. In the past 30 days, we think of Rabbi Earl A. Grolman, Harav Aharon Ben Tova, Andrew Venuti. Within the last year, Sherwin Sider, Arthur Ashkin, Jack Robinson, Betty Williams, Pamela Walker, Barb Brady, Mary Jane Ludwig, Inga Kaplan, Elizabeth Ruth Rassler, James Cross, Peter A. Ellsberg, PhD, Eileen Jenkins, Selma Foer, Steve Strauss, Andrew Verratti, Donna Matlis, Charlie Perlman, Rabbi Michael Cook, PhD, Sharon Perlman, Millie Small, Alan Dabro, William Leibovic, Jim Ballantine, Eli Kane, David Stucker, Terry Gregory, Grayson Corbett, and Joan F. Nutkin, along with the yahrzeits of Proctor R. Hug Jr., Edward David Weinberg, Joe Eisenman, Michael Farrell, Leo M. Ginsberg, Herman Lazar, Jack Rubin, Sandra Seidowitz, Annabelle Medvin, Janice Palanker, Lou Barocas, Yetta Fox Einhorn, Sid Matlis, Herbert F. Blank, Barbara Jeskin, Marcia Sivan Lavens, Gesha Mitchell, Peter M. Burns, Kenneth Liebman, and all of the people we've lost over the course of the pandemic, and all of the names that those among us have entered onto our banners through the comments section. Zichronam livracha. If it's your custom, you can stand wherever you are for the mourner's Kaddish together on the top of page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye techol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala v'zman kariv ve'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. May their memories be for a blessing. Thanks tonight to my wife, Laura Smith, who's been handling all of the technology that made tonight possible. Thanks to Mike Stombaugh for our virtual Siddur, to our rabbis for their ongoing support to our community. We have a Yism'Zoom tonight, hosted by Laura Ashkin and Chris Stanton. There may be a banner available to advertise that. If anybody, oh, there it is. And if anybody needs to write it down, if you have something to write with, 819-6303-8475. So people get a chance to connect and not just see my face trying not to sing too loud in a hotel room. Tomorrow morning we have Torah study. We've been going through the Torah one verse at a time. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, the community will be doing Genesis chapter 28, verse 20. Visit SinaiReno.org/Torah study, SinaiReno.org/Torah study for the Zoom meeting ID and information on how to join. This coming Sunday morning at 9:30, Sinai School is happening. Thanks to Jeff Gingold, if you're out there, for substituting for my class. I know they're looking forward to working with you. This coming Tuesday through Thursday, Mike Stombaugh is getting a very well-deserved vacation. The rabbis will be available by appointment only if anybody needs anything. And then we'll be back for Kabbalat Shabbat services via live stream a week from today on October 29th. Very excitingly, on the morning of October 30th, Saturday, is the B'nai Mitzvah ceremony for Shalom Gordon and Nathan Gordon that will be available via live stream. Watch for announcements for that. And there will be no Sinai School on October 31st in observance of Nevada Day. There are also some other things going on October 31st that some people might be having some fun with. But that afternoon, on Sunday the 31st at 3 p.m., We have Jews on the small screen, in person, possibly at Temple Sinai. You can find details at sinaireno.org/small screen. It'll be a presentation on the role of Jews in television, which was my family's, it was the industry that I was brought up in before I went into classical music. Such a rebel. More announcements can be found on the website. But in the meantime, we can conclude with a joyful song on the top of page 32. Before we do, thank you again for joining us for this. I'm glad we have a chance to connect this way, and hopefully with these dropping numbers, at some point we'll have a piece of good news for you whenever that might be, that we might be able to have some limited gatherings in person again. The website has very specific details on what data we're following, and we'll be able to announce all of that on our mailing list. So please join that if you aren't on it already. Top of page 322, Ein Kelohenu. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkenu, Ein Kemoshienu, Michelohenu, Michadonenu, Michemalkenu, Michemoshienu, Lodel Eloheinu, Lodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. And for those of you who have a Kiddush cup with you, the closest thing I have is a water bottle I brought into my hotel room. We can pour our wine or juice, what my 2-year-old calls Shabbat juice, and gets very excited, for the Kiddush on page 5, all the way at the back of our Siddurim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lemase v'reshit, ki hu yom techila, l'mikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, v'kadesh HaShabbat. Amen. And if any of you have something to eat, particularly challah, you can see Deborah's message also for if you'd like information from her. She's one of our fearless leaders for Torah study. But if we have challah, you can put your hands on that for a little motzi. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ha-motzi lechem min haaretz, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Hope to see all of you soon. Have a wonderful, restful day, and see you very soon once again. Shabbat Shalom.